So listen, let's get into the next topic here. Now, this is going to be a bit of a segue. So Klutz, Abdel 114 in the chat. So Klutz says this. I mean, there's a lot of segues here, folks. So walk with me on this. Klutz writes, and it's at Zacken Klutz on Twitter. And this comes the way of Clobriel, who put out a post where it says Xbox Game Studio releases in 2025, and there's quite a few of them. And Klutz asks a question, chat, and I want to dive into this. He says, "Was this the best year in Xbox history?" And I think the easy answer is 1,000%. But I have another tweet in front of me that really drives this point home, Jamie Moran, and it's from King Dudley. Now, I don't follow him, but I am now because King Dudley put out this post, and it's pretty dope. Now, it's at King Dudley _Xbox. This was posted yesterday. And he goes on to talk about Xbox Game Pass day one, but it goes a little bit further. And this is where it's very interesting. If you are wondering whether Xbox had a good year, I think all you have to do, Jamie, is look at what Game Pass has levied from beginning of the year to Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And it has been a stellar year with games of every ilk from multiple studios within Xbox Game Studios and even a partnered pair of games in Ninja Gaiden 2 Black as well as Ninja Gaiden 4, right? But another piece of context that comes into play here is using the 2025 Jeff Keighley Game Awards as a jumping off point of context. So King Dudley says this: Xbox Game Pass Day 1 2025 Game Award nominees. Check out this list, folks. Now, the Game Awards is one of the biggest shows. You've heard me talk about it. I know a lot of people hate when I say I like Jeff, but I do. Do I know him personally? No. Have I met him? Sure. He's been in plenty of the same press places that I've been when I was, covering, E3. Do I like all the things he does? No. I made mention of it yesterday. He congratulated Sony's PlayStation 5 for the 5-year anniversary and didn't say anything about Xbox. I mean, I just think that's weird. If you're an ambassador for the gaming community, you're supposed to congratulate everybody. Now, maybe he forgot. I'm just saying, maybe he forgot. I'm giving the guy a lifeline here. Or maybe he doesn't give a shit. One way or the other, it just looks bad. But circling the wagons, ladies and gentlemen, check this out, folks. These are games that were nominated for the 2025 Game Awards, but every one of these games that were nominated are in Xbox Game Pass. Check this out. Check this list out, Jamie and chat. Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which I think is going to run the gambit. I think it's going to win every freaking category it's in, and I hope that it does. It's one of the best stories in gaming I have ever heard, and I've been gaming for 40 plus years. It's a studio that had no right to make a game this good. I'm not being facetious or even, rude. If you listen to how this game came to be, and you've heard me gush about this game before, it shouldn't work, Jamie, but somehow it's one of the most nominated games in history of the Game Awards. I think this thing is going to run the gambit, and I hope it does. I hope that studio wins every freaking award that they're nominated for just because they deserve it. Expedition 33, I didn't finish it, folks. I'm sorry. I got lost in a lot of other games, but that game is incredible, and it's one of my sins of 2025. I got to get to that game. I have to finish that game. But check this list out. So, of course, I said Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Hollow Knight, Silksong, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Avowed, South of Midnight, Adamfall, Blueprints, Doom, The Dark Ages, Ball X Pit, The Altars, Rematch, Ninja Gaiden 4, and The Outer Worlds 2. Every one of these games, ladies and gentlemen, were in Xbox Game Pass day and date. Jamie, that's incredible. And every one of those games is up for an award of some sorts. I just think that when you talk about Xbox in 2025, I know there's going to be a lot of people in this chat. Some are trolls. You're going to go to the interwebs. You're going to go to social media. You're going to go to content creators, and they're going to try and sell you on this lie that Xbox had a terrible year. Xbox was dying. They're out of the game, 1 foot in the grave. They're not. They are making money, which I always say I can give a flying shit about because they're not making me any money. I care about the games as a consumer. And every one of those games in Xbox Game Pass, day and date, Jamie, on top of them releasing 12 plus games. And there could be one more game. The baker's dozen, ladies and gentlemen. And I think, and this is just my thoughts, that at the Game Awards, Todd Howard's going to come out with his brown jacket, as we know that he does, and show us a trailer for Fallout 3 Remake. And that launches potentially the day of or right before the show, second season on Amazon. That's my play on it. Let's get your thoughts on the year Xbox has had, and more importantly, Xbox Game Pass has delivered.
My mouse fell off my desk.
Okay, there you
go. Yeah, so like when some of the biggest games of the year launch in Game Pass, then you know you've had a pretty good year. Xbox has had a really good year. And look, when it comes to the Jeff Keighley Game Awards, Indiana Jones was my game of the year last year, right? Absolutely incredible game. Right? I've only ever given 5 games a 10 out of 10. That's one of them. And that got snubbed. And at the time, people were telling me, "Oh, it'll get pushed to this year. Don't worry about it." And it's snubbed again, right? That's expected. But like Xbox, they had a very good year, and like in my opinion, it's their best year ever. You know, the funny thing is, a lot of replies I get on Twitter and on YouTube, people like angry all the time, calling like Xbox it's the end of the world and stuff. But they've launched the most first party games this year. They've had the biggest games this year, and it's the end of Xbox still. But anyway, look at the Game Awards, massive titles launching Game Pass, and look, Expedition 33. And by the way, I hate to be a person that says "I told you so" to the gaming community. I hate to say that, but I'm going to say I told you so. When Expedition 33 was announced, I was the only nerd online praising this game, saying this is going to be special. And then it was eventually announced for Game Pass, and every single reply I got on Twitter was, "It's turn-based. I don't want to play turn-based. It's a AA game. I don't like AA games." And then what happens? Comes out, smacks people across the face, and tells you, "Oh yeah, AA games can kick ass and be wonderful as well." Turn-based combat, people have this gripe against it for some reason, but think about it like this. Turn-based combat, you can play with one hand and eat a sandwich with the other. Right? Beautiful. So, like, this game, I've been trying to tell people, it's going to be amazing. It's a JRPG made by a French studio. For some reason, French studios can make really good JRPGs. Don't know why, but it seems to be a thing I've noticed over the past couple of years. And the game came out, blew people's mind holes, and it's a wonderful game. And a lot of people told me since that game came out, "Oh yeah, turn-based games, I'm actually going to give them a go now." And if anyone's listening that thinks like that, play Lost Odyssey. That game will change your life. But yeah, if you look at the list of games, man, it's been a great year. Hollow Knight Silksong on the third-party side, basically one of the most hyped games of the year. Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Steam all crashed when that game came out because the stores just were overloaded. Really makes you think what it's going to be like when Grand Theft Auto releases. My God, those servers are going to melt. But yeah, look at this list. Look, Xbox had a great year. To see Avowed and The Outer Worlds 2 nominated for Best RPG of the Year, well done. And look, I played Avowed for over 4 months. I clearly liked the game. And I'm currently playing The Outer Worlds 2. And by the way, even this early on, I think The Outer Worlds 2 is a better game than Avowed.
Yeah, dude.
I might be biased. Yeah, I might be biased because I lean towards sci-fi, but like the Outer Worlds 2, that's got some good stuff going for it. But Xbox, they've had a good year. I do think Doom: The Dark Ages got snubbed a bit. That might just be me, but yeah, honestly, I think Xbox had a great year. The Game Awards, not really a representation of that because there's clearly like Jeff Key, the Game Awards. Microsoft
Yeah.
gets snubbed a lot, right? In fact, I do think a few of the companies get snubbed a lot. I think Warhammer 40K Space Marine got snubbed hard last year, and I will stand on this hill and defend that game. It's an amazing game. But yeah, great year. What can I say? It will be interesting to see what actually wins this year because Expedition 33 launched in Game Pass, and some people have this like weird thing with day one Game Pass games where they'll say, "Oh, this is like a Game Pass game," like it's some like smaller title that people aren't gonna like. Yet Expedition 33 comes out and blows people's minds because its story's so unique in a space that's gotten really stagnant, and this just proved people wrong, which I love. But yeah, honestly, great turnout for Xbox, and it will be interesting to see who actually wins.
Well, you know what's again, it's one of those interesting, thought conversations that we're about to have. So this year has been dynamite for Xbox Game Studios. Like their first party games showed up and showed out, Jamie. They just have. Now, granted, maybe not every game was for you, and I get it. I am the first guy to jump in line and say, listen, not every game is for every gamer. You've heard me say this a million times. So if maybe South of Midnight, its art style or its protagonists weren't for you. Maybe you didn't like the combat because that was one of the bigger nitpicks, and the combat needed work for sure. Was it terrible? No, it worked. It was very good. It wasn't revolutionary for some people. Fine. Maybe Doom: The Dark Ages, like Jamie was saying, he felt that it got snubbed. Maybe it wasn't too Doom or not enough Doom for you. I don't know. I mean, I got 950 gamer score out of 1,000. I freaking love that game. Maybe Avowed didn't connect with you. Avowed was my game of the year until something called The Outer Worlds 2. Now I'm at odds because I am in the final act of The Outer Worlds 2, which I have put down. I'm probably about another 90 minutes from beating it, and that'll be my second run. I'm closing in on 6 days worth of play. Now I had as many. I don't think I had as many, but I had a ton of time in Avowed. I freaking loved Avowed, and I always use you as a talking point or a jumping off point, Jamie. Where I've seen your because you post a lot. You post a lot on X, and you post a lot being a happy gamer. And of course, this is where the trolls attack you, and of course the inmates that have escaped from Arkham. God forbid you should be having a good time, but your gameplay for Avowed specifically made me ask the question of did I play the game wrong? Because I played as a magic user from first person. The way that you played was a third person mode and melee character with a sword and shield. Now I know you've switched around, but you mainly played with a melee third person character. I'm that's exactly how I'm gonna play through Avowed again, which I have to play that game again. It's just one of my favorite experiences of the year. And it's just again, I'm at odds. Right now, it was a lot. And then the Outer Worlds, it might edge it out. I'm just having a really great time with Obsidian Games. And I'm not a Grounded person. If you are someone that, played Grounded 2, really enjoyed it, that's 3 games. And they just added a turn-based, mode to Pillars of Eternity. Like, does this studio ever sleep? I don't know. But I'll, in closing or before we segue into the Game Awards and the nominations, if you consider 2025, Jamie, to be a monster-sized year, next year looks to be even better, which is, and it's insane to think about. And this is where you get into that when again, folks, if you start seeing the people saying that Xbox is dead or they don't have games or they don't deserve to be nominated, block them. Put them on the pay no mind list, because this year is a perfect example, and it's been the lead up. It didn't just happen, Jamie. This has started in 2023. Remember, 2022 was an abomination year for them, right? And that's coming off of winning Publisher of the Year in 21. So 2022 comes out, everything's delayed. They practically have nothing. They have some third-party stuff in there. They have some Games Pass stuff in there. High on Life launched into the service. That was a big, an exclusive for them for a while. But 22 was a down year. 23 was a really good year. Starfield, all of the games that were delayed came out. Well, of course, Redfall not being the greatest, and obviously because it wasn't great, a studio got closed, which is sad. But then you go from 23 to 24, and they're up in the ante. Not only in just Game Pass, but the production of Xbox Game Studios. Now you get to 2025, and it's insane. Like, there's just not enough time to play all these games. I mean, think about this for a second, folks. In Xbox Game Pass this year, if you're an RPG fan, you got Expedition 33, which is, yes, third party, right? It's a AA game. But you got Oblivion Remake, Avowed, and The Outer Worlds 2. All in the service. That's 4 massive size RPGs. Hell, if that's all you got all year, you were good. But that's not all you got, right? And now, Jamie, we're looking towards 2026. And again, folks, you've heard me break down the list, but I'm going to do it again for context. Doom. You got Halo, Gears, Forza. You got the Trinity, right? It's like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. For DC, well, these are the Trinity for Xbox. Then on top of that, you're going to get your traditional Call of Duty that's not going to have Arkham Asylum levels in it with Modern Warfare 4. You have Fable releasing next year, and you might actually have Clockwork Revolution next year, and that's just from first party. We have no idea what is coming to Xbox Game Pass, and I'm sure it's going to be as good as this year, maybe even better. Jamie, before we move on and segue into the nominations, just get your thoughts on, if 25 was insane, how crazy do you expect 26 to be for Xbox gamers?
I think this year taught us that Microsoft can really surprise us, because this year they had a lot of games that were announced this year that released this year. Gears of War Reloaded, yes, it's a remaster of a remake, but it was announced this year and it released this year. You have the Oblivion Remastered, which it's a remake, let's be honest. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake, announced this year, came out this year. Grounded 2 announced this year, came out this year. So like that taught me that Microsoft. Oh yeah, Keeper announced this year, released this year. This taught me that Microsoft, they could have a lot of games in the oven that we just don't know about. They have a lot of first-party studios that have multiple teams. They are clearly working with outside studios to make remasters. And like, look, I think in the past people have had problems with remasters, but like if you only have remasters come out in a year, that's a problem. But if you have them alongside new games, then it's not a problem. But if you have Halo, Forza, and Gears next year, and Fable, look, I 100% think Clockwork Revolution's next year. I think a lot of people think that, we've seen a lot of gameplay by now. I'd be shocked if Fallout 3 isn't announced and released next month. It's 1,000% coming out next year. 1,000% Fallout 3 remake. So I 100% think that this year was the best year in Microsoft's history. I do think that next year will be better. I mean, hell, you have Halo, Forza, Gears, Fable, and more than likely Clockwork Revolution, Fallout if it's not out by then. So like, yeah, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a really good year. But the funny thing is, right? Boom, I'm gonna talk about this because you DM'd us this last week. Microsoft is poised to have an incredible year, first party wise, next year, and some journalists were trying to push that it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing for Microsoft to have so many games next year because scary Grand Theft Auto releases at the back end of next year. My God, that's what we are now? That's where we're at now. Microsoft,
Yes.
they can't have a roadmap of games for you to be excited about. No. We can't allow that. We have to tell you that this is bad for Microsoft because of bloody Grand Theft Auto in November. We have a whole year next year, whole year. Yet we have these bloggers, arse clowns, that are going out of their way to try and make it seem like it's a bad thing. How is it a bad thing, right? Year after year after year, whenever a game company has, not many games released out in a year, and all these companies do have years where not many games come out, right? It's the norm. It's the industry norm. However, Microsoft, they finally needed a place where they have consistent roadmaps, and they finally going to have a year where we get Halo, Forza, Gears, Fable that we know officially, right? And it's turned into a bad thing. Oh my God. I know negativity gets more clicks in the journalism space, and I'm doing journalism with air quotes because let's be honest, gaming journalism is a joke at the minute. There's a few outlets alike, but it's a joke.
Yep.
But like trying to twist that a good roadmap is a bad thing because of scary Grand Theft Auto. Come on. Like, come on. Like, this is ridiculous. And by the way, we were never told that, scary Grand Theft Auto is bad for Wolverine. No, it's a stupid thing to say that. All these games are going to be fine, right? Wolverine's going to be fine. Fable's going to be fine. Forza's going to be fine. Halo's going to be fine. Gears is going to be fine. It's going to be fine, right? But to see all these like positive, this is what I mean. Like, I'm a positive guy, right? I might sound annoyed at the minute, but I'm still salty that I lost stuff in Arc Raiders. But like, we have so many good games coming. Xbox is in a place where, yes, you have people doom and glooming, saying it's the end of Xbox. You need Sarah Bond to come out every other Tuesday announcing that there's a new console coming. So we're being told 50,000 times, and we're talking about a console 2 years before it comes out. We get it, right? We get that there's a new console coming. They actually have a roadmap of games. Finally, we have roadmaps multiple years in a row, right? Multiple tentpole titles coming out next year. And it's turned into a bad thing. Oh my God, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. This is where we're at now. Right? Like, it's a good thing we have so many games next year. Hell, Grand Theft Auto, if it does come out next year, nice. I'm going to play it. I'm going to put 30 hours into the story, and I'm going to play something else, right? Too much fixation on Grand Theft Auto. My God.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a great year next year. I think next year, Microsoft, I mean, look, I was originally on Team 2026 for hardware. I was 100% on 2026. Now I'm 100% on Team 2027 for the next gen Xbox.
Yeah, that's for sure. I believe that. I believe you're onto something with that. I don't think they are going to rush anything. I think they need to get the UI set up perfectly. I think what you see on the handhelds now are just a preview of what it's going to look like. The goal for next generation for Xbox, for their next generation Xbox, has to be the UI to rule them all. Meaning, and what I mean by that is the console is going to be at the center of everything they're going to do. The console must have a unified UI that when you turn on this box, whatever it looks like in 2027, that UI needs to look like and act like everywhere else. Meaning that what you see on your console needs to be on your TV, your phone, your tablet, your refrigerator, your streaming service, or your handheld. It needs to look and act perfectly in tandem. If they can do that, and that is what they are working towards, that's gonna be the final form for Xbox.